Oh, no wonder I gotta have that off. Okay, now, you, you were gonna tell me about Snuckakun. Snuckakun came from Denmark.
Now,
what was her real name?
Nielsen.
Oh.
He was an old fisherman, and that's why they had them fishing ponds up there.
Oh.
And he used to sell them for 50 cents for a whole sack full.
Yeah.
That's the olden days. Well, when I was in the old country, he either stole a monkey back there, and that name followed him to this country.
Oh.
Snuckakun.
Means?
Steal, snuck. Snuckakun.
Steals monkeys?
Yeah, she stole the monkey, and that come to this country. You know, Pete Pickett down there. He stole a bundle of pickets, and that's how he got the name Pete Pickett.
Oh. And now, was that in this country or in the old country?
That's in this country. He stole that.
Oh.
And Pete Calf, he stole the calf. He got so hungry for some cattle. The neighbors had a calf staked on the street, and he stole it and hid it in the barn for a couple of weeks, and then they caught him. When he lived, he never lived that name down.
Yeah. Well, now tell me more about Snuckakun.
Well, anyway, Snuckakun says Lou Anderson and I was the last ones. There's 5 of us that used to send to Wisconsin to buy a bull. They'd buy a bull that was about 300 or 400 pounds, and they'd ship it here by train. And we'd have to pay for it and send the money. Hans Anderson was an ag teacher. That's when I was in high school. He'd get the money gathered up and go back there and buy these bulls, and the kids would take them. And it was an ag project. So Lou Anderson and me was always in with a good bull, and he just lived up through the ditch from me, you know. So we had a big bull, but he got so big and so mean that we couldn't handle him. So we'd always look forward. We was prepared. Boy Scouts was prepared. We was always prepared with another young bull to take his place. And so we'd send back with Hans for the young bull, and this old bull got out, and I'd been out with Jack Baxter chasing cattle back in the range. He was paying more money to Wellsville City and to Paradise and to Harm, straight pen bills than you could shake a stick at. Because your dad was careless. He thought if there was good feed in the street, it was his.
Yeah.
And if they get thirsty on the street and couldn't get any more, they'd come into town and put in a straight pen. Well, here come Lou one Sunday. We'd been out riding and round up these cattle. Some was in Sliver, some in Paradise, and we was putting them back on the reins, and the horses ran wet. And I've had some good horses in my life, and Lou said, the bull's out. He had him to his place. We dwindled from 5 that owned the bull in the first place down to 2. We bought the others out. We bought Roy McBride out, and Helms McBride and Hoyle McBride out. And so I said, hell, I just unsaddled my horse, and he's wringing wet. And I said, I don't believe he could chase a bull, but I'll take you. I'll put his saddle back on. So I stowed the saddle back on him, and I looked up, and there I seen Morris Gibbs. He lived in that old rock house down by your place that you bought. Mondale had that place in it. That was a rock house. Morris Gibbs was our neighbors. And Morris got word some way. So there he was, cutting through, smoking a pipe with his shotgun across his shoulder. And so at the time I got up to open the bull pen, opened the gate, he broke out through the side of the pen. Morris was out there, and that's right where the church house is now. And that was Chris Anderson's. And So Marsh allowed him. Took three, you know, I told you had to have 3 or 4 puffs before you could think clear. From that pipe, and he walked out around that bull, and that bull pawed up the earth, and oh, he was mean. And he ready to charge. He says, "Get on there," he says, "get in, get back in your pen." And he swore at him, called him S of a B. And then a little bit stronger language than that, he called him, and the bull made the charge. So he waited till he got back from here to that house, and he shot him. He shot him in the rump. He shot him in the rump. And that bull, he bellowed, and he said, "Get in there!" And that bull turned and went right in his pen.
Is that right?
Yeah. And from then on, whoever took cows up to breed him to that bull, if he was in started to beller, I'd take a board and hit it across his bullpen, and at the pop, you know, he'd calm right down.
Huh.
Hell, he was scared.
What kind of gun was that?
Shotgun.
Oh, shotgun, bull.
He scatter shells, and that bull. Every time I come up there, I had to laugh. He had little red spots all over his rump, and where he got shot. Took that off, and so we had to finally settle that bull because he got too big. He weighed over a ton. By that time, I had the young bull down to my place. We sold the other bull. He weighed 1.25 tons, and we come out pretty good on him.
Oh, I bet.
But then we took the young bull up and put in a bullpen, and that's where we take the cows, Lou and I.
They'd always keep the bulls in the bullpen.
Always have one ready for service before
Yeah.
we sell the other. So we come along with this little bull calf that I was telling you. See, I get ahead of my story lots of times, and it passed Snackacoons. And she said, "Oh!" And I said, "What?" She says, "Where'd you get that bull?" And I said, "Oh, we sent it to Wisconsin. It comes in on the train this morning." So we was just bringing it up from the train now. We had a little hackamore on it, and Lou was leading, and I was a shillelagh it with across the rump. It was just about a 500-pound calf. And she says, "What are you doing with him? What you gonna do with him?" I said, "We're gonna keep him to replace our big bull." She had a hair lip.
Oh, that was it.
Oh, she had a hair lip. And I guess when she was young, she was a pretty girl back in the old country. Old Martinez, he fastened on to her. And so one day she come by, and I lived up there, you know. Do you remember when I lived up there?
Sure. You used to
And,
get your watermelon patch.
Yeah. And she come past there, and she said, "What good is he? What good is he? I had the little bull to my place.
Yeah.
He wasn't big enough to serve a cow." And I said, he'll grow, he'll get big enough." And she said, never be worth a dime. Never be worth a dime.
Uh-huh.
And, well, she had to take them words back. So I says, she said, "Where'd you get your money? Where'd you get your money to buy that bull to send to Wisconsin for him, see? Have him shipped here." And I said, "I had to borrow to the bank," and I did. Lou borrowed his money, and I borrowed mine to pay for him when he come. And I said, "If I'd have known that there was a rich person in the neighborhood as you, I'd have come down and borrowed the money of you." I don't have money. I don't have no money. And I can understand her. I can understand every word. Trish couldn't
Even though
understand
she had a hair lip, huh?
Yeah, hair lip. And she said, "I got no money. I made a little rug. 25 cents. She makes little rugs for 25 cents. You take old stockings and old clothes, and you cut strips and sew them together, and you weave them into a rug." And I said, "Well, you made a lot of money making rugs." "Oh, I got 25 cents. She hasn't got 25 cents because she hadn't been paid for one rug. And I said, if I'd known that, I said, I'd have borrowed the money of you. I'm going away. Then she started to bawl. And she cried and says, she didn't have no money. She didn't have no money. I guess the Lord probably was helping her. eat food.
Let's see if this is working.
So she never had no money. So she got out of that.
Yeah.
But I could understand her, and a lot of the neighbors couldn't.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'd talked to her quite a few times, and I could figure out what she said. But I'll tell you, another neighbor that we had up there was old Lady Hardixon.
Hardixon.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember her.
They called me.
She had a garden. She had a beautiful garden.
Yeah, I'll say she did. Well, anyway, close your door a little bit.
Are you a little chilly?
A little chilly, yeah.
Oh, let's see if this.
Oh, that's all right. Just,
Oh, here, let's see.
anyway, there was another example. Now, she was a convert to the church.
Yeah.
Now, here's where she got her name, Hardixon. Is old man Hardixon that moved up to Downey. A lot of families left Hiram and went up to Idaho, and they homesteaded there in Blackfoot.
Oh.
And one of them was Hardixon family.
Mm-hmm.
And so after about 15 years or so, they had boys that got old enough to go on a mission. They started sending them back from the old country on a mission. In the meantime, this Jake Hardixon lost his wife.
Hmm.
And boy, when you lose your wife with a bunch of men working for you, and you had to hire a woman to do the cooking and manage for him, he wrote a letter to his boy, his grandson, and he says, if you see a good woman back there that's an old maid or something, he says, you write and tell me, and I'll send you the money for her to come here to America. So he ran on to this Miss Hardixon, and she had an illegitimate child, and his name was Pete. The baker back there, he was the dad. So, see, that I can tell now I was getting cold. Yeah. That's all right. It's a little breeze. That was coming right on me. Anyway, this nephew of the old Jake Hardixon wrote him a letter and said, I found you a woman. She's got one little boy. But he says she's not married now. And he says, I'll send, he says, I'll send her. And so he got the money. He bought the fare for her. Plenty of money, with bills stacked up, I guess. And she come and she landed in Salt Lake. And then she had to find her way to Cache Valley. So then she comes on the train and she goes through Cache Junction up to Idaho Falls. See, on that main line. And so the old man, he met her with a wagon, team in a wagon. This is a long while ago. He met her, and she was what the old man wanted. He wanted a woman that was strong, that could help him on the farm.
Yeah.
And she could too.
They were good workers.
Oh, they worked like fools.
Tell me about Norma Josephine Olsen, my mother.
Yeah, what about her?
Well, you just tell anything you want about her. We'll get on the tape.
Well, Norma sang in hundreds and hundreds of funerals.
Yeah.
Norma got out of a sick bed. And when they put me in the bishopric, she asked for release. So I went to the place, and I went down to the old Unsworth place where I used to live. And I says, no, I says, we can't release you right now. I said, we need you. And she led the singing in the ward for years. And Dean come out of the hills with his clothes on, and it was too late to come home and change clothes, come here. He went in and his dog, Helen Rose tells this one, his dog went with him right in the church house and laid right by the piano while he played the piano for the music.
Dean played the piano.
Oh, Dean played, I'll say he did. He played for our priesthood and for our choir and all. He was an artist with that piano. And your mother's pretty proud of that music. Well, that dog went right in and laid by the piano right while he played for the music, for the church. Never left the piano. And your dad was awful careless. he didn't care too much about whether you got an education. It wasn't him that got you in school, nor your other brothers. It was your mother.
Right.
Your mother's the one that got you in school. He would get Alden. Alden was just a kid, about 12 years, 13 years old. I don't believe he's in high school yet. And if he didn't show up here on the Sunday morning here for school, she went after him. And you had an old Studebaker, yellow wheels, I can remember that. She'd go right out after him, and she'd meet him on the Meridian line. And she'd say, Alden, tie that horse right there to the fence. And these cattle will feed up that Meridian line. And your dad can come and get them. So when, see, that's when the dog come, he jumped in the car and come with him. So he did, he'd tie him up to the post, and then she'd bring him home, and he'd go to church. She was going to have him go to church, and she'd done that many times. She went out to get him to come to school. And she said, them cattle can go to the devil for all I care. She says, he don't need to send you on the Sunday. They're on a school day. You can do it after school. And so she was pretty strict that way.
Yeah, she saw that we got a good education.
That's what she wanted. She was determined to have you kids all have an education.
We all got through college.
And you all went through college. And she was the one that was instrumental.
I know that. But what can you remember about her in this house from the very beginning?
Well, Norma wasn't only about 4 years older than I was. Hal, 2, and she was 4. I don't remember too much, but I remember we had a stove right there. And I remember that Mother had a heater that threw out heat all over the house, you know. And I'd go behind it and go to sleep. They couldn't get me to go to bed. I'll switch to Norma after. And so I'd lay behind that stove, and Mother would shake me and say, it's time to go to bed. It's time to go to bed. Kids, you ought to be to bed in the long run. And so she finally got tired of that. So they left me one night, and they turned off all the lights. And I woke up, and boy, I panicked. I got clear scared. I'll tell you, I didn't lose any time getting up them steps to bed that night. And that broke me of sleeping behind that stove. Well, Norma, when she had an advantage, Mother had every one of them have music lessons, but Hal and me.
Had what?
Music lessons.
Oh, music, oh.
Hillary and Bill Miller played the mandolin and the violins and played for entertainments in the ward and even in funerals. And your mother played the piano. We had a regular choir. Right in that room there was a piano. And this is long, long ago. Dad was alive then. Dad had a beautiful voice. And so did your mother, grandmother. And so did Violet and Marjorie. One sung alto and one soprano. And your mother played the piano. And we all sung, and there'd be a regular home evening. We practiced home evening before the church did.
Oh.
And we just was happy. It was a big, happy family in there. We didn't have too much money to get along with, but we got along.
This nice home.
Yeah. Dad had to work pretty hard to get the logs out to get it and have them sawed. But anyway, after they got bigger, they got married. And then Norma, she married your dad. Of course, she was away from here then. And Norma and Marjorie got this home. And Hal and I was living in it, batching it. And what did we get? A kick in the hind end.
Yeah.
We never even had a home to live in.
Huh.
That was another thing that August Clausen done.
He was
The administrator, he was dividing the property. So Marjorie and your mother got this home. And Hal and I got 5 acres of swamp and Hillary. But I can understand that now. Mother thought so much of Ruby, the patriarch's daughter, that she'd give anything away to them. Well, she just furnished their house. They had a house up there right across from Pete Olsen's.
Well, who built the barn out here, the big barn?
Dad.
And
Barn.
who milked the cows?
Dad. Dad started out with cows. The first, this is when cows become a means of money,
Income.
and Dad went to Wellsville and bought some cows of Marjorie's husband after she got married, and there was dandy cows.
Now, was this the Darley guy she was married to?
Yeah,
or
John,
Bird?
she's married John Darley.
Yeah.
He says, you come on down. He says, we'll pick out a couple of good cows you can buy. And she, of course, had to buy them because they belonged to the family. So we went down with the wagon and we put a hackamore on each of them, and none of them had ever been led before. And Hal and I come behind the willows to lead them on, and we walked them just this side of Mendon to Harm, through the fields, right to this place.
All the way.
All the way. And they were good cows. Bud was one of them. And they were really good cows. That's the time that they started to educating the people to get cows.
Yeah.
And everybody didn't have any income in the wintertime, see?
Yeah.
So if they had cows, they had an income because they could feed them cows and milk them and sell the milk. So Dad went right into the business, and he had about 6 or 7 beautiful cows when he drowned it.
Did my mother milk any cows?
No, I don't think she ever.
Had plenty of brothers.
I don't think she ever touched the cow unless it was a willow.
Well, what do you know about her childhood?
Well, I know why she got white hair. The kids always teased her. When he was out to the valley, out to the ranch, on that trap door, someone forgot to close it down.
Close what down?
Close that trap door down.
Oh, yeah.
And Norma walked right off, and she was just a young kid then, and she lit right in a pan of milk. And us kids teased her and said that's where she got her white hair.
Made it blonde, huh?
Yeah, made her a blonde. So
Yeah.
she went through life with us teasing her. And she'd get mad as a hornet when you'd tell her she got her hair all in that pan of milk.
Yeah. Well, what happened to the Wingers down here? They're not in town anymore.
All of them went to California and Salt Lake and Ogden.
Oh, did they?
And a lot of them went into the real estate business and become rich.
One moved up to Driggs, Idaho.
August was the instigator of that, too.
Who was?
August was, he went up there and bought a pool hall.
Oh.
He bought a pool hall in the business. There was a pool hall on one end of the store and dry goods on the other end. And he ran that for several years. That's when they first got married. Of course, Norma wasn't even married then.
Oh, you got married before my mother?
Huh?
You got married before my mother? Oh, you were a kid when you got married.
I was just a kid.
High school, wasn't it?
Yeah, graduated from high school in the class of 24. And I won the popularity contest in the whole school. And Clarice won the beauty contest. And I'd never even looked at her before. But when she won that beauty contest, I thought, boy, she wouldn't be bad to marry. So we started going steady. And she didn't finish her last year of school. She was halfway school. And she froze on to me because she afraid she's going to lose me. That was Ursula Olsen down here. I was going with her.
Oh.
And then when I married Clarice, that was her dad that instigated that.
Mm-hmm. He needed a worker.
He needed a worker, but he needed to go on a mission. He went on a mission, and I run his place while he went on a mission.
Mm-hmm.
And her mother went to California. So we lived in the place, and we had Lenore and Ralph, 2 kids, and Clarice done the cooking. Clarice made the bread for the whole family, big family, when she's 10 years old.
Is that right?
And she could cook then. She was her mother's right hand. That's why she kept a column for her mother when she was in the hospital.
Yeah.
And Ada. She loved Ada. Ada called 7 times from Los Angeles while she was in the hospital.
Is that right?
And I sent a bond that Chris had bought for her that I run onto, and I mailed it right out of that house. I didn't want things like that laying around, because it could have laid there forever.
Yeah.
Well, it's Kurt. But Norma, every one of us in the family sung.
She was what now?
Every one of us we could sing in the choir.
Oh yeah.
We could make a regular choir in that room.
Huh.
Dad was a beautiful singer, so was Mother. And Norma played the piano. She's the one that had all the breaks, the piano lessons. And Violet and Marjorie and Norma and Vernon, he sung kind of a bass. And Hillary's a bass. Hillary's a beautiful bass.
He used to sing when I was here.
All the time they used to sing. And your mother, even from the time I can remember when she was just a little girl, that she had Mother sew her, make her a pretty dress. She's going to sing the lead part in the primary play. And I'll never forget one time she's strutting around here, and Mother says, "You better run through that song again. You better run through that song again." And she said, "Oh, I know it." And she says, "You don't know it good enough." She said, "You run through that song again." And she said, "You know something? You go around here so smart." She says, "Pride always goes before a fall."
Yeah.
She got down on the Rex Theater. That's where they had the shows then. And she got up and she forgot the first 3 words. And she started to cry. She was just a kid then. I was just a little cuss myself. So the primary teacher calmed her down, and then she went through it. I'll never forget that. Pride goes before a fall.
Yeah.
And I told Norma about that a lot of times. And she says, "I sure learned to listen hard there."
Yeah.
But Norma sang in every play, and I sung in every primary show we ever had. I remember one time that I was a sunflower, these big sunflowers, and Mother made me a sunflower suit.
Yeah.
And Norma was playing the piano for my songs. I sung in the shows, all the shows, and that kind of made a little friction with some of the neighbors' kids, because they never asked them to sing. Well, couldn't sing. Pierre didn't know how to sing then.
He does now.
But he does now.
Yeah.
As we got older, we'd sing all over. And the song that I had to sing, I'll never forget it. I'm a merry, merry sunflower. I'm a merry, merry sunflower. Sunflower, sunflower. I'm a merry, merry sunflower. I'm only 6 foot tall. It's a pretty song all the way through. I could sing it right through. But Mother pinned sunflowers on me, and she was a dressmaker. Mother was a talented sewer, and she went all over the neighborhood and built dresses. And Norma was at the piano. And I'll never forget that. Norma was kind of proud of me because she thought I was going to make Hollywood someday. But we never lacked for friends.
No, I guess not.
Hal could have got any girl in this town.
I'm sure.
In this ward. He was good looking and tall, but he was too choosy.
Yeah.
And when he got older, well, he figured that wasn't good enough for him. And then when he got older than that, when he calmed down, why, they was all married.
Yeah.
So that's why he never married.
Waited too long.
Waited too long. Then he lived right in this house then.
I think he lived here while I lived here part of the time,
Yeah.
didn't he? I wonder, he must have slept in that junk room up there.
Yeah.
Because it's the room that was never finished. Because
That burned out once.
Yeah, you told me about
The
that.
curtain blowed over the lamp and set it on fire. And they never had fire department either. But you had a fire brigade. The ditch runs right there, and there's a stream of water in that. And they'd hand it. One guy'd get in the ditch and hand it to you, and you'd hand it to someone else, and they could just put a fire out and nothing flat, if it didn't get too big a start. So that's why
That's where they put it out, huh?
Yeah, that's how they put it out.
This is Darwin. This is my home. Right here. The brick facing with green on top. There's my double car garage. There's the street. We are in Chubbuck, Idaho. Today's date is the 14th of September 1988. In 2 days, we're going down to Kearns, Utah to a funeral of one of In 2 days, we're going down to Kearns, Utah to a funeral of one of Marjorie's cousins. On the way back, we'll stop in Hiram and we'll take a lot more pictures of Elt, which will follow this. Is today the 16th?
Uh-huh.
Today is September 16th, 1988. We are looking at Baxter land, the palace of Dean Baxter. Carolyn calls it their Utah chalet. I think she might have a better vocabulary than Dean. Let's zoom that in up close and you can see the magnificence of this great edifice. There we go. Oh, there's a few cockleburs around here. I don't dare get off the road. They stick all over in my pants. This country, oh, there's a windmill on top of that hill. Where'd that come from? I think maybe that pumped some good fresh water down to mix with Dean's soda water. All you do is mix Kool-Aid in Dean's soda water springs there and you got soda pop. Sometimes you want to put a little sugar in it. Now we're zoomed out. We'll look at that windmill again. Look down his little road. All those fruit trees died because gophers ate the roots. Next time they're planted, you have to put some screen, some 1/4-inch mesh screen all around the roots, about a foot away from the trunk. Now we're looking at Spy Hill. Don't dare turn too much because I can't look into the sun with this camera. It'll burn out something in it. Now you're looking up about where Meridian Line is now, and this used to be a lake, but it doesn't rain much here. And you'll see the trees, the willow trees over there. The Dean planted willow and poplar are doing real well. I don't know whether anybody lives in the house now or not. Up there you see the tip of DeVoy's son's house and their windmill again. And then you'll see the Paradise Mountains. And now we'll do a little sweep and get the Hiram Mountains. There's Blacksmith Fork Canyon. Everything here is golden. New Zealand is green, but Cache Valley is golden. All you do is dig a little under the ground and you might find gold. All the vegetation, except for the tumbleweeds, look golden. We'll bring that castle in just a little bit closer. There, it's just like as if we were up to it. Maybe we'll drive over and see if there's any water in the pond. There's a car out there in the field. I wonder if it's DeVoy's pickup. And there you see the site of the old Baxter farm, Robert Baxter, in Mount Sterling, Utah. Now most of Dean's place there has been plowed up. You see that black soil. It's all plowed up out to the road. Looks like it's a heavy adobe soil. There's Dean's house up close. We'll see how much water's in the pond now. I've got the wide angle on. There's the island. We look down there, and there's the water. Trees are getting pretty big. These golden willows look good. There's the steps, they go up. Beautiful porch all around this house. Looks just like a southern mansion. Yeah, the water's down there a ways. I don't think there's any danger of it drying up though. I'll get down, walk down these 4 steps. Don't want to fall in the water. Now there's the cattail patch. Yes sir, those trees are big. Now, a few little trees coming in under here. They've stayed alive. Some irises over there against the wall. A couple of canoes here. The old spruce tree has made it. Now I'm at the southeast corner of the house. Cattails are ripe. And we see some more spruces here. Now I'm facing, the camera's facing more to the north now. And there is the garden. It produces good vegetables. The peppers though get pretty hot there in that soil. There again is Spy Hill. We'll zoom that in close. There you see Spy Hill. Now we'll go along. Now below that hill is the Nellie Pond. Everything is beautiful and green here, just like New Zealand. This is looking north. There's the windmill. See, these evergreen trees are doing pretty good. They'll be big when Dean gets back here. I am between the 2 gates. The gate that connects the Nellie pasture with the north pasture. Looks like there's some good fat Herefords in there. Boy, will they make some good juicy beefsteaks. I don't know who they belong to. Pretty animals. There's some down in that little swale that used to be a pond. Don't think there's any water in that Nellie pond, or they wouldn't have water in those tanks over in the Nellie field, Nellie hay field. Let's see if we can get those animals in a little closer. There's the loading chute. We'll zoom it out. You can get a better look at it. And a crell made out of steel, all steel, portable crell. If I can shift it far enough away. Now you're looking at the McMurdy Hollow. The road is very well graded. They've been graded it just not long ago at all. I don't dare face the camera to the west and get Garth's pasture, his north pasture, because it'll burn out this camera. There you can see that. There's the gate. Still there. In spite of all the wind. There's Dean's intermediate wheatgrass. Not too green right now. I think it still grew good. Even I'm facing east. To my left is the north pasture. And to my front is the east, and it's the McMurdy Hollow. Some of these maple trees still have green leaves on them. Let's zoom that down. I've never seen the road graded any better than it is now. Of course, there's a little bit of bedrock right in front of me, but most of it is just very, very well graded. A few rocks fall out of the north pasture and on this road. Somebody ought to stop and take them off. The maples up on there have changed colors, but the color's brown. Brown from lack of rain. There's not the pretty yellow and maroon and red colors we used to see in the orange. It's just brown. Okay, I'm looking over the top of my pickup at the top of the hill at the north pasture. At the bottom you can see the old corral. That's the north pasture. Now we're looking down McMurdy Hollow. This is Garth's place he bought off Ken Curtis. I think they call it the Benny. Looks like there's been some work done up there by a backhoe. I'll zoom that in close and try to figure it out. Somebody sure had some equipment in there working on that. Now you can see Mud Springs and you see the maples up across the fence from the Benny. Now we'll go down here slow. There's those two cottonwood trees up in there and those two little swales, or ravines, and there used to be some water springs in there. Now just about 20 feet from me is Garth's rubber tire bridge. Got dirt on top of it and rubber tires all over down in that swale. That's supposed to stop erosion. Let's take a picture of Garth's cattle. These are red cattle. Maybe they're called red Herefords, but they don't have left McMurdy Hollow. I'm looking at a beautiful city, Zarahemla, also known as Paradise, Utah. Now we'll push it out on the wide angle lens and take a look at the mountains, Paradise Mountains. Now we'll zoom it over. Now you're looking at the Blacksmith Fork Mountains. Down the road, there you see Ken Curtis's homestead. He bought that from Dewey Johnson. The gem of Cache Valley, better known as Paradise, Utah. I'll take a shot here of the post office. Put it out there. That is the main post office in Paradise, Utah. There's one of Carolyn's neighbors. Here comes a car down the street, and there's a house that Carolyn used to live in. Looks like it might be painted a different color. And there it says Paradise City Park. The sun is about to go down. There's the school where Carolyn went to school. Let's put it out there a ways. That must be where the James boys lived. th of September. It's the day after yesterday. It's Saturday. We're looking away from the sun in the northwestern direction. There's Elt Olsen's old place. Now we're looking down the street. I think that's called 2nd South. I will get a picture of Irma's house over there. There's my pickup truck. There is Melba's house. Here is Lamar's house. And guess who is on the porch? Somebody that lived most of his life in this house.
Yeah, I did too.
Most of his life. Look at those beautiful white pillars. Marjorie painted them last week. Whoop, I can't get sun in this. It doesn't do well with sun.
Maybe in a little while the sun will come out, and then you better wait for a minute and see. It's coming out.
Yeah, it's
now.
out.
Well, are you cold?
No, I'm not cold.
Well, you'll get cold if you sit down. Look at the beautiful lawn here. The sun came out for just a minute. There's my tripod. I put this camera on. There's old Earl's hay over in his barn. I think his son milks the cows. But look at that beautiful crabapple tree. And that, we got a big line of lilac trees back here. Mar's going to have to replace that wall there. That's just plywood nailed on. It doesn't match the shiplap siding he has on this house. There's more pillars that Marjorie painted. And there's where Elt's going to sit.
Yeah.
Sure.
What do you do? Put bulb in it? I like to go up to.
That runs by batteries. And he'll either bring you up close to it so it shows just your face, or you can put it a long distance away. Now, that picture there will show both you and I. Okay, and whatever we say goes in there. So you got to watch your language. No Norwegian, no cuss words.
No swearing.
No. Now,
Especially profaning.
Yeah. Now this is what we covered last time. Can you can see without glasses, can't you?
Yeah.
Tell us about this house. You did that. Tell us about your boyhood. I think we went over that a little bit fast.
There's a lot of things I can tell you about my boyhood. When I was just a kid, did I tell you about breaking my arm?
Yeah, you told us about that.
Grandpa
And
Winger
Grandpa
was-
Winger took care of that.
Yeah.
You told us about your parents. You told us about high school. You told us about your brothers and sisters. And you told us about your golf life. Okay, we didn't do this one. How about the history? Yeah, we talked about the history of Hiram, didn't we?
Yeah.
And you told us about the Olsen ancestors, the Winger ancestors. Oh, I know what you're going to do. Memories. It says here, fond memories. What are some of your best memories of Hiram or this house or anything?
Well, I remember once that after Dad got this built and painted, he had us, there used to be picket fence right there.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
He got on the other side of that picket fence, and Henry Peterson, one-arm Henry, he put a black thing over his head, and he'd take the picture. He took the picture of Dad and Mother and all us kids. I don't think Val was on it, but Vernon, because they might have been married and moved away. But the rest of the family is on it, and boy, that was their pride and joy
Yeah.
to have that picture in here.
Yeah.
And we used to have lots colder winters, and we used to have a lot deeper snow. I've walked over the top of the fences right down through there, down over that hill, right over the top of the fences.
And cut
Snow.
through
And cut through.
to go to school.
Yeah, to go to school.
And I can remember they used to have 4 horses would pull sort of a wedge-shaped thing made out of wood. It was called the snowplow.
Yeah,
And it just pushed the snow along the sides.
I built them. City didn't have them before I got here. I had 7 districts for them to do, and they knew. I told them, I said, you don't need to call me. You can tell the snow's knee deep that you should push it off. And they was the Go Devils, they call them. And I built them. And every one of the 7 guys would put a team on it and make the sidewalk, see? We used to travel on the sidewalk.
Well, they do the road and the sidewalks.
And, oh yeah, the road, that was a great big one.
Didn't Elias Sorensen have horses that pulled that?
Well, I had him once in a while, but he didn't hurt his horses any, so.
No.
I had to get someone that would really try to get over the road.
Fast.
He wanted to last. See?
Yeah. He'd come past here, I think.
Yeah.
He'd come past here and then up to his house. He liked that road in. Done.
We had these roads. I had them arranged so that we'd run one outfit going east and west, and another north and south. And we'd go all night until morning to have opened the roads so they could go to 2nd Street to work.
Oh.
And it pushed it pushed snow about as wide or wider from here to that outfit.
But didn't you have tractors then for the snow plow?
No, not at first.
Before the war, it was all done by horses.
That's what I was doing.
Oh, I see. I guess they'd be better than a tractor because they wouldn't spin.
Oh, they'd them horses weighed snow to their chin.
But they were big horses.
Yeah, and I always had about 4 head of my great big pulling horses. Then maybe I'd get someone like Elias or Lonnie with a team of leaders. If when it got the deeper the snow gets, the more it has to push.
Yeah.
And you have to have good pulling horses. So I use them. I'd use my big ones for the wheelers. And Lonnie Sorensen, he had a smaller team and grain fed and full of. Is that taking?
Sure, that's got it all.
I was just going to say, he had them grain fed and theirs full of spunk. And they make good leaders. Well, that's when he had to get, and finally, the snow gets so deep, we'd have to put 8 head on it. Four wheelers and 4 out on lead.
Yeah.
And I had to put my own horses on lead because they was fed for it and worked for it, and they knew how to buck snow. I've had horses that had waded through snow this deep.
Oh yeah.
I got some Jack Baxter or Jack Wright that had wintered out in Pocatello Valley, and they used to get a lot of snow out there. They'd paw for their feet.
Yeah.
And this wasn't nothing for them to go all night. Now if they went north and south, the others went east and west. We'd pass each other, and we would had every road open before daylight. We
Hard work.
Stayed right with it until we got them open.
But do you remember, you go down, this is second south, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you just crossed the junction there, and the street didn't go through at all.
That wasn't opened up yet.
That was a garbage dump, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
that was a garbage dump.
And then a block down was another garbage dump.
But that we built the road there first. I built that, and you got a great big pipe, very big one that took the stream of water down through there and then filled it in. And then we've done the same with this. After you had to use the money that was available. You couldn't do them all 1 year.
No.
Because the city never had not that much revenue coming in.
But if you could work for the city during the Depression, that was better than nothing.
Oh, you know what I got? I got $1.65 an hour for me and the team. And if I used 2 teams on there, I got $2.
Well, I can remember when I was 16 years old, I used to pitch hay for people, and I worked for some shaper guy down there. And he says, well, what have they been paying you? And I said, well, I worked for Joe Peterson up the canyon. He paid $3 an hour. And he said, oh, I can't afford $3 an hour. And he wrote me out a check for $2 an hour. And he said, now, I want you to help me, though, before you go home. He said, we got to castrate 3 little lambs. And he said, you know how to do that? And I said, I think so. And he said, you have to get those things by your teeth and pull them out.
Yeah,
and I did, but I didn't tie the cord. Do you think they stayed alive, or do you think they died?
Well, they bleed to death, I guess.
Well, that was his tough luck. He didn't pay me for it. I don't pull those things out with my teeth for nothing.
You know, Ken...
You should just get hold of them with your teeth and then cut the cord, and tie the cord first and then cut it.
Because your teeth would hold them. They're just as slick as
Oh,
glass.
your fingers can't hold them.
Just like a fish.
They can pull those things in like with muscles like you wouldn't believe.
Yeah.
But I can remember that. And then I went to work for Elt Olsen down in the North Field. Joe Peterson paid me $3 a day. He wasn't bad. That shaper guy paid me $2 a day, and he worked me hard.
Yeah.
You don't have a minute to sit down.
That Schaefer guy was Arthur Peterson's son-in-law.
Well, he moved up to McCammon, Idaho,
Yeah.
or Downey, Idaho.
Downey.
But you know, I went to work for Elt Olsen, and he paid $5 an hour. 2.5 times as much as Schaefer in the hay.
A day, you mean?
A day.
Don't say an hour.
Oh, a day, okay. $5 an hour was about double what anyone else would get. And you said, hey, if people work for me, I pay them a fair amount of money. I'm not going to cheat anybody. Remember that?
Yeah, I remember.
You always paid people good.
I always paid them, and I could always get men to work for me.
Sure.
But it wasn't an hour, it was a day.
Yeah, that was $5 a day. That was big money. And then the war broke out, and the next year, some Check-It boys down below the hill said, let's go to Brigham and you sign up with the union. We went up an old building in Brigham and signed up with the union, and about 2 days later we had a phone call, and it says, go to work over here at Brigham on the Bushnell Hospital.
Yeah.
And I worked there, and there they paid 75 cents an hour. That came to $7.50 a day for a 10-hour day. Now you paid $5 a day, I got $7.50 the next year, and from then on wages just went up
Yeah.
every year. Remember that?
Yeah, you bet.
Oh, they worked me hard over there. I think that might have hurt my back,
Yeah.
because they'd put about 6 chunks of 2x4 on my shoulder and have me carry it like, from here half a block and then they'd saw them up. They'd saw all of your floor joists, all your rafters in a little sawmill area, and I had to carry the stuff over to the sawmill. Lavelle Peterson over there worked down there too, but
Yeah.
he worked for less than 75 an hour. He got 60 cents an hour, but he was an apprentice carpenter.
Uh-huh.
And then they advanced him to carpenter in a little while. You see, so that was smart. But when I finished my year's work there, I bought a Plymouth car from High Moon's brother. Was it West Moon? I believe it was West Moon. And that was the car my mother used all during World War II.
Yeah.
I was over in Europe.
Les Noon was an Avon man, and he taught seminary. And then he'd sell cars on the side, see?
Yeah. Well, no, this was Moon.
Oh, Moon.
Moon. They lived down below the hill, just below the Unsworth place.
Carl Moon.
Yeah, he was a big sheriff of some kind. I don't
He
know.
was.
I think he moved down from Idaho.
Yeah. He's a Hiram City's police.
Yeah.
And he was big and stout. And I saw him make $5 from one group of guys. Then some new ones had come along, and he'd make a bet with them. There's a great big lump of coal that had come in. It went down through around the hill. You can get it out of the car. And he'd bet that it weighed 500 pounds.
Hmm.
He'd bet anyone $5 that he could lift it and up into the pickup or carry it for a rod or two.
Yeah.
Oh, he's up there making money all day long. He was stout.
Strong, but I don't think he was as good as Lawrenson, was he? For a cop.
No, he wasn't as good a cop, but he was a stout, and he had a good line.
Scare people.
Gift of gab.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, a politician has to have a gift of gab,
Yeah.
or you won't stay in politics too long.
No, they'll shake you. They'll get you out of there.
Yeah.
Dean would be good in politics.
Oh yeah. He talks a lot. He sells himself pretty good. Do you remember the Unsworth boys? They were pretty good friends of Dean's.
Oh yeah.
Now what's happened to all them?
Well, the one they called Bush, he was an alcoholic, and he took after his uncle Unsworth. And that'll come to me now in a minute. Ernie Arell and this
Unsworth.
Unsworth guy was bosom friends,
They were drinking buddies.
and they're drinking buddies. They had a bottle in their pocket, or one at home, or one ditch behind a tree on the road home. If they got too thirsty, they'd take a rip of that and get home in good shape. To a good, nice, warm dinner, and their mother would feed them, and of course they'd spill food on the table because they're oiled up. But they'd done things a lot different, I'll tell you them, than they do now.
Yeah.
Now them,
Well, now the Unsworths were prominent people. Didn't we have a mayor named Unsworth at one time?
no, I don't think he was ever a mayor, but he had a dry goods store.
Yeah.
Now the first dry goods store they had, Hiram used to have more stores than it's got now.
Yeah.
There's a fire right down where the elite hall is, and it burnt that whole half a block, north and east,
Oh boy.
and just wiped out the town. There's a fire.
I'm gonna check this out. See if it's still on good.